Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Vosteed Talarurus. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. I'm certain that that's not correct, so I'm sorry about that. But this is an interesting knife. Vosteed is a company that I really like for some of their models, including, specifically like the button-operated compression lock. Raccoon, I think they call that the top liner lock. I feel like they do a really, really good job in the budget territory. And then they do some interesting premium stuff. And Vosteed sends me a lot of free stuff. And I've got links in my description that are paid links. So like if you use the link to buy this right now, I'm going to get a commission. I like this design. I think it's, kind of cool looking. But I was a little bit flabbergasted at the price. And, I'm going to go through this and do my typical review process, but I just want you guys to know there's so much competition and I am so confused about how Vosteed came to the conclusion to price this the way that they did. I guess it's not the most offensive thing in the world, but there's a lot of competition out there. And I think I'm going to use this as an example to say these materials can be bought for way less at the exact same build quality from tons of other brands and from Vosteed. So I don't know. That was a disappointing element. I don't normally start off reviews like that, but I kind of want to let you guys know what you're in for. Thanks to Vosteed for providing this knife for free for review. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at _metal_complex. Let me go ahead and get a quick measurement of this knife. The overall length is coming in. We should probably straighten that out a little bit, right? The overall length is coming in at about 7¼ inches. Blade length is coming in at about 3¼ I guess. And then your cutting edge is coming in at 2.85. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you can find down in the description under Original Goat and others up against the AD10. And let's do the AD20.5. I don't know where the titanium one is today. It's about the same overall length. I mean, really close. I guess it's a little shorter than the AD20.5, but the same amount of cutting edge. So really just a shorter handle there. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Once again, actually, it's almost identical. That's interesting. It's almost identical in terms of the cutting edge and the forward choil position. I'm having a hard time talking today, guys. Forward choil position, and then your standard grip is similar, right? It's just a different overall shape. Last but not least, let's put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Hogue Deca. All right, how's the action on this knife? The action's really nice. I've maintained this change of opinion. I used to criticize thumb discs, and the truth is they're not my favorite means of deployment. I would almost always prefer a thumb stud or a flipper or an opening hole. But I used to say that the thumb discs in general were just bad. And I think it was the experience that I had with so many of them being bad that I just started to judge them all. And then I started handling knives that had them positioned better. And I've realized they're not bad. They're just not my preferred means of deployment. You can do it, right? The action is honestly pretty darn smooth. I mean, you pull down on the crossbar, which, by the way, these are high tension Omega springs, or higher tension than I guess what you would consider average tension, right? But it feels good. There's a teeny tiny little bit of stick sometimes. In some cases, this goes away, and sometimes it doesn't. But the action is nice. The lockup is absolutely solid. And I gotta be honest, there was a part of me that thought for sure that this ran on phosphor bronze, but it does run on bearings, just to be clear. So yeah, the action is pretty good. I feel like I think I personally would enjoy it more with thumb studs. But that thumb disc adds a little bit of, I guess, character to what would otherwise be an incredibly simple and basic design. So there's a little bit of flair there, but nothing incredibly special. So yeah, the action's fine. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It is slightly thicker. We have just basic steel liners with, a piece of white micarta on top of this. I believe this is micarta. It does come in a few different color, variations. So you can check those out if you want. But it's not, I guess there is slight contouring. You just have these like heavily chamfered edges. It kind of feels blocky and flat. It doesn't feel like the normal, comfort that comes with contouring, but it's okay, right? So it's a little bit thicker there. Length and height up against the PM2 and the Para 3. This guy closed up is nice and compact, honestly, even with it being a little bit thicker. It still is a little bit easier to carry than, the height, I guess, of the Para 3. Not that the Para 3 is hard to carry, but it is a little bit shorter that way. And it's definitely shorter body-wise than both, but only slightly shorter than the Para 3. So let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very, very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. Sorry, I'm actually trying to see if that was a T8. These are the tools I'm talking about. So the pivot is almost certainly a T8. And then we have a T6 back here, T6 for the pocket clip. It is nice that it's ambidextrous. This screw on this side, actually on both sides, goes right through the middle of the scale, which is weird. Usually you see that when it's like a cartridge liner situation, but this has a full liner, which means they could have just had a second standoff here and put the screw back here. They didn't. Not that big of a deal, right? But you've only got, I guess, 4 body screws. You got some pocket clip screws, and you've got the pivot. Taking apart a knife with a crossbar lock can be a little bit tricky the first time you do it, but it's not impossible. Just have some patience. I would recommend taping off the blade, having a place to put your hardware, and of course having the right tools for the job, and you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and weigh the knife real quick. So we are looking at 14C28N for the blade steel, satin finish. Then we have micarta and steel liners, steel pocket clip. Nothing crazy. We're looking at pretty straightforward budget materials. 3.6 ounces of weight, which is not bad, but I'm realizing that this might not have been accurate, so we're going to do that again. The weight on this knife is, 3.6 ounces. So there you go. It's time to, we do need to measure the blade stock real quick, and then I'm going to move into the meat and potatoes, and the rest of this review is going to be pretty straightforward, but I do have a point to make here. The blade stock thickness is a little thicker than I would have expected, 136 thousandths, but okay. All right. Straightforward blade profile. Honestly, ergonomically, it's all right. Couple of ledges feel a little bit kind of aggressive and angular. Pocket clip, I do love the Vosteed pocket clip by itself. I think they have it mounted slightly low here. It's past that 50% line that I like, but you don't have to agree with me. Truthfully, that bill is not pronounced enough to really be too much of a concern, especially in the choked up position. It's reasonably comfortable all the way around. I mean, there's not much to complain about here. I do like the blade shape. As I always say, I kind of like these with the noses dropped down, so that doing things like draw cuts or whatever. These are the types of cuts that I do on a daily basis. I always appreciate that. This is a blade that's going to be good at a lot of different, very basic tasks. 14C28N, a lot of people argue that that's the very best budget steel that you can get. What I mean by that is balance. It certainly doesn't have the best potential edge retention of every steel that could be considered a budget steel. Obviously, cutting performance heavily relies on the geometry and the heat treat. Yeah, 14C28N is very, very tough and easy to touch up, and it has okay edge retention, and it's stainless. It's just got a really, really good balance. I think there's a little bit of confusion as far as like how much it costs, because we generally see like budget knives in 14C28N costing a little bit more than D2. I think in some cases this is a little bit manipulated, right? It's kind of like, people really want this. Let's see what we can get out of it. And the proof of this is that like some companies are like, you know what, let's just like bring it back down to a reasonable territory. And a lot of times you can get a knife like this for about 50 bucks. That seems to be right around the fair pricing that I see when it has a similar construction. It's made in China, right? You have lipped liners. They're not nested or anything like that. It's not a titanium pocket clip. It's just straightforward. I think Miguron does stuff like that on a regular basis, and sometimes will even include a titanium pocket clip. Is it the Moyarl, I think, that would be like a really good example of that? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that this is substantially less expensive, right? So anyways, but yeah, like it's fine. Like it's a good looking knife. Vosteed does a good job with their fit and finish. A lot of this is going to come down to aesthetic tastes, but the thing works. If you choose to buy this and use it as like a simple daily cutting tool, then yeah, you'll probably enjoy it for that, right? It has a filler tab. Obviously, you can use that to swap the pocket clip over. Some people consider those an eyesore. I don't really care too much, but I can understand why some people don't like it. Simple standoff, no backspace or anything like that. No milled clip, nested clip with recessed screws, so that's fine. Very easy in and out of the pocket with that pocket clip. We have the stop pin is located in its traditional spot. I don't think there's any shouldering there. Yeah, it's just flat surface, so that's fine. Legitimately does not have any blade play. Like I said, just a minor amount of stick in some situations. No pivot lash. It's consistent, very consistent and smooth in here. And, you know, because of those high tension Omega springs and exactly how much tension is placed, you know, it's sort of the peak of that event horizon. Does that make sense what I'm saying? That lock bar pushing on it. It does snap into place pretty well. So what's my issue with the price? It's $72, and I know that a lot of people are going to be like, well, okay, like it's still a budget knife. It's using budget materials. It's in budget territory. Yes, but why is this so much more expensive? I mean, like if we go by percentage, a lot of people would say that's literally $22 more than where you said you would prefer that it would be. And realistically, can you expect it to be $50? Maybe $55. So it's not even that much higher. Percentage wise though, I don't understand. Like Vosteed has knives in its own line that are just significantly better deals, but all of their direct competition is at least $10 cheaper. So I don't know why this specific knife, like what element is pushing it up that high. This is fine. If you want to pick this up, that's fine. But legitimately, despite the fact that I will make a commission if you buy this knife, I honestly don't recommend that you pick this one up. Save yourself some money and go with something else that Vosteed or any number of other companies. I mean, I have a budget playlist that showcases the stuff that I like, and I just think there's a lot of better deals out there. I mean, if you're going to spend that much money, you should probably be looking at the Vision FG from Civivi that definitely does offer an element that is, you know, something that makes a bigger deal, makes it worth more money than your typical budget knife, right? There's almost like a tier, there's almost like multiple tiers of budget knives, and I really respect companies for being able to get their prices down in the economy that we're dealing with right now, but plenty of them are able to do it. So it's not like, you know, this stuff just needs to be more expensive because the economy, you know. So this might feel like a super harsh review. The design is fine, the quality is fine, but them pricing this knife so far above what I would have expected it to be, I don't understand it. So no, I don't think this one's for me, and I don't think it should be for you either. You can do what you want, but I don't recommend this knife. I do appreciate Vosteed sending it in for free anyway. This will likely end up as a giveaway item on one of my live streams. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex and on TikTok at the_metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on my, that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.